About 2 weeks ago, I heard the familiar thump of a package being delivered to my front porch. And I went out to the front porch to retrieve it, and I could immediately tell from the shape and size of the package that it was a book. But when I picked it up, I saw that it was not from Amazon or Barnes & Noble because it had a handwritten address label on the package. And I immediately recognized the handwriting to be that of an old high school friend of mine, Leslie Smith. And I thought about the fact that that used to be a pretty common occurrence, that you would receive a letter or a package with a handwritten address on it, and you would immediately know who sent it to you without looking at the return address because you recognized the handwriting. And that common experience is now very rare. But so that was my great insight. As I picked up the package, I took it inside. I opened the package, and inside, surprisingly enough, was a copy of one of my old high school yearbooks. It was from my sophomore year, 1971. And Leslie had enclosed a letter with the package that explained that her brother had found this yearbook in a box in his attic when he was clearing out boxes. And neither he nor she had any explanation for how my yearbook had gotten to his attic, but there it was. So she was returning it to me, and she mentioned also in the letter that she had taken the liberty of reading the various messages that my friends had written to me in the yearbook when we passed it around for signatures back then, and she found some of them to be very funny and touching. And so I opened the book, of course, and started reading those same messages, and I was again struck by the fact that even without seeing the name at the bottom, I recognized several of those people's handwriting, 6 or 7 of them at least. And so I was still caught up in that phenomenon, and I let myself soak in the nostalgia for a few minutes. I looked at the pictures of myself on the JV basketball team and the Spanish club, and I read all these messages that people had written to me, and so they were funny. And but not surprisingly, the longest and funniest message in the book was written by Leslie herself, because she and I were really good friends in high school. We were very good at making each other laugh. We never became boyfriend and girlfriend per se, but we sat close together in classes. She had a very loud and distinctive laugh, and I was very good at saying funny things under my breath to make her laugh and get in trouble with the teacher. So that was the basis of our friendship. And that continued throughout high school. And then when I went away to college, she stayed at the college in our hometown, and we started writing each other letters. And so I got to see that handwriting over and over again. And we exchanged those letters more and more frequently and stayed very close. So much so that we did finally become boyfriend and girlfriend, the status we had avoided in high school. And so much so that by the end of our junior year, we got engaged. And shortly after we graduated from college, we got married. That turned out to be a mistake. Leslie and I were only married for 3 years, and we got divorced. And that divorce was actually very painful to me because not only was I losing my first love, but I was also losing a very good friend. Wasn't going to get to spend much time with her anymore. So I avoided then for several years going back to my hometown and going to any high school reunions because I just didn't want to bump into Leslie and have those awkward moments. So I stayed away for a long time until I looked up the exact year this happened. In 1990, Don Henley came out with a hit song on the radio called The Heart of the Matter. And in that song, the word forgiveness is repeated over and over again in the chorus. And I remember singing that song to myself in the shower one night, and I suddenly realized I have to suck it up, forgive myself and Leslie for our mistakes, and go back to my next high school reunion. So I did that, and it turned out that we still made each other laugh. We had a great long conversation at the reunion, and after that we stayed in touch, again by writing letters, not frequently at all, but once or twice a year we send each other letters just to stay in touch, catch up on family days. And now that Leslie has sent me this high school yearbook, I will have to write her a letter of thanks. And I'm sure when she gets the envelope, she'll recognize my handwriting.